Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. This is Simon with AvaTrade, and I wanted to welcome you to our weekly webinar, Mapping Out Your Week Ahead. A few things about myself. My name is Simon Friedman. I'm a senior account manager with AvaTrade, and I've been trading and involved in trading for the past 24 years. I started as a prop trader in New York City, and after 11 years, I moved into a different way of trading, and I started also mentoring and educating others. And I'm very happy that currently I have this great opportunity to assist our customers at AvaTrade. The agenda of the webinar, as usually we speak about indices, stocks, commodities, Forex. We mix some fundamentals with technicals. We try to see what's in store for us in economic calendar. We'll go through it as well. And in general, what we're trying to do here is making a plan, and it's proven that it's getting more organized when you plan things, especially in trading. And as I always say, the traders like to say, you plan your trade and then you trade your plan. It just creates more order and less chaos in your trading. It's pretty much what it is. Risk warning. You can find a full statement at avatrade.com website. And of course, everything we do here is purely educational. We do not suggest any trades. Social media. You have Telegram, X, which used to be Twitter, and my favorite, as I always say, a YouTube channel. You have a lot of things being updated on a daily basis. That includes a lot of educational material. You have tutorials. You have webinars. If you missed the webinar or you think you missed the webinar, don't worry. They're being recorded and posted on YouTube, so you can find time and convenience to watch them whenever you're ready. Okay, so this is important before I forget. As you know, Monday is the holiday, Labor Day in the US and Canada. Basically, what's happening physically, as living in the States for many years, it's the last opportunity to do barbecue for the summer. So the families get together, friends get together, drink some beers, do some barbecue. Some people are still traveling. So it's kind of a, I mean, there's of course the real meaning behind it, but what it's turned to be that really enjoying a long weekend before getting back to September, schools, jobs, and everything else. So here's the schedule. You can find it actually on the website, but I took a screen just to show you here. So tonight on the European time zone, these markets will be opening as usual, but they'll be closing early tomorrow. So these are the indices: S&Ps, Nasdaq, Dow Jones, Russell. They'll be closing tomorrow, a minute before 17 GMT time. Canada's closed. Energy will be opened and then close early tomorrow. Here are the hours. And metals as well will be closing early tomorrow. And the grains, they will not open. And of course, the stock market will not open tomorrow. US and Canada, they're not going to be trading. And then Tuesday, back to normal. Okay. So before we go into it, what we had last week, of course, we had two things that we spoke about the week before when we planned it. There was earnings on NVIDIA, and there were personal consumption expenditure numbers from US that the Feds are watching for inflation behavior. So NVIDIA, they reported good news. Somehow investors didn't really fall in love with it, so the stock sold. I mean, they have super high expectation for NVIDIA, so even the great news were not so great for some reason. I'm going to show you a slide in a moment. And then we had personal consumption expenditure numbers. They were a little bit better than expected. So it just shows the inflation is doing okay. I mean, okay, that means in favor to Feds. So we are approaching the September 18 interest rate decision. Okay, so let's just go through a few things that I prepared here. So NVIDIA here, it's Barron's article here. Title said NVIDIA's AI stock boom has got to end. Big tech could kill it. So by the way, here are the numbers actually for the big boys. We'll take a look at them on the charts. So you have NVIDIA. I mean, it was up before the earnings came out, right? So NVIDIA, these are the Friday's numbers, right? Friday market ran into the closing to close positive on the month. We'll take a look and I'll share with you the numbers. So let's just read it. The unfolding era of artificial intelligence is lifting NVIDIA, the pick and shower start of the crack gold rush, as well as the host of the stocks, but that can't last forever. There's no need to worry right now. It's funny, they tell you it's bad news, but it's not bad news. So they have to be really politically correct here, right? There's no need to worry right now. NVIDIA reported its second quarter numbers Wednesday. Shares dipped following the report, but don't blame the results. Sales for the 3 months through July topped 30 billion for the first time, with a gain of 122% from a year earlier. It was the fifth consecutive quarter with a triple-digit year-over-year sales growth. Sales growth over 12 months through July was almost 200%, and the figure for the coming 12 months is expected to be almost 60%. So they reported great. Maybe they said it will be probably less coming forward. As you know, even in trading, when you have $100, it's easier to make a percentage-wise big amount as opposed to if you had $100,000. Same thing. A company of that size to keep this percentage, it's not really easy. So these are the things. Now the picture here, as you could see, Friday's Intel was up 9.5%. Next slide, I'll show it to you. The rest of the big guys were up less than percent. Looks like it. Amazon was up 3.7. Again, Intel is the champion for Friday. Okay. Intel, another article here says Intel considers a radical reform. Report says why it could spell the end for CEO Pat Gelsinger or Gelsinger, whatever you pronounce it. Okay. So Intel is here. Let's just read it together. Intel stock climbed Friday after reports said the semiconductor company is considering radical options to try to turn around its stock slump. While it might be good news for Intel shareholders, it could be a bad news for chief executive officers. Intel is considering, here's the thing, Intel is considering various options, including possible split of its product design and manufacturing businesses, scrapping certain factory projects, and mergers and acquisitions. Bloomberg reported Friday, citing people familiar with the matter. Intel declined to comment. Intel shares jumped 8% in the morning trading, making the best performer in the S&P 500. Okay, I guess we're going to hear more about Intel. Now, other things, 10-year yields. As you know, I mention it sometimes. Here we go. The past week, we had quite a recovery here, aiming back to the 4 level here. So when we get to the chart, we should be pretty much seeing dollar showing a little bit of recovery and gold having a downside pressure, right? Okay, remember this. And here we go, September 18 Fed's meeting and decision on the interest rate. As of now, we have 70% probability that's going to be 0.25% interest cut, and 30% that is going to be 0.5%. These numbers are changing, as you could see here. 1 month ago, it was 88 against 12. A week ago it was 64 against 36, and now we are 70 against 30. So bigger probability that's going to be 0.25% interest rate cut. All right, economic calendar, a few words, especially for new people, to explain what it is. This is public information. You can find it on our web trader or the mobile app. Also, a lot of other providers have the same data. It's, as I said, it's public information. You can see it ahead of time. Prepare yourself. It's important to know that things are happening, whether you do something with it or not. It's individual business of each trader, but not to be caught by surprise. I think it's important to know that certain things are happening. So here I usually take the high impact events. They are in red here. So let's just go through it really quick. Manufacturing PMI numbers from China on Monday, Tuesday, CPI data from Switzerland, and GDP numbers from Switzerland as well. Manufacturing PMI from US. Wednesday, GDP numbers from Australia, another PMI service this time from China. Bank of Canada interest rate decision on Wednesday. As you could see here, they're expecting to keep the rates. Actually, no, there's consensus is a 0.25% cut as well, similar to the US. So that's on Wednesday. Thursday, trade balance and the speech of the governor of Bank of Australia. Retail sales from European Union and ADP numbers from US. This is the agency that reports before we have the NFP numbers on Friday. And we have service PMI from US as well. Friday is the most important data of the week and the month. As you know, non-farm payrolls. For those that are trading, you know that when this data comes out, it creates volatility in the market. Basically, there are a few things. The main thing is how many jobs were added in the United States. Also, it reports the unemployment and hourly earnings. So the NFPs is in focus. As you know, it's important for the Feds as they are watching what the economy is doing. They're watching how inflation is behaving. And also very important that, especially lately, they're focusing a lot on the employment situation. So that's on Friday. And again, to explain, usually these numbers coming the first Friday of the month. That's it about economic calendar, and we're going to move now to the platform. And before anything else, just want to share with you the numbers. So Friday we had the rally across the board, US indices. Dow Jones had a nice run. It went up 0.9%, and before that rally, actually, we were down, as you could see here. The second part of the session, we moved up across the board. So Dow Jones closed the month at 1.8%. Now we're talking about the actual index. What we see on the on here on the charts, these are the CFDs for the futures. So Dow Jones rose for the month 1.8%, and we really let's see. I hear 41,670, well, 640. We closed a little bit shy of all-time highs. S&Ps was up 1% on Friday and 2.3% for the month of August. But as you could see on the chart, we're really having a hard time breaking this congestion zone. A lot of attempts, a lot of tails, but we can't move higher from here for some reason. NASDAQ. Of course, NASDAQ was affected by NVIDIA. We'll take a look at the stock when we get to it. So NASDAQ rose 0.6% for the month, and on Friday went up 1.1%. And just a few more numbers that on Friday, 86% out of S&P 500 stocks ended up a day higher. So it was a close, it was a strong closing. I guess there's a reason for it. They wanted to close also August on a positive note. As you know, we started August not so great. This is it. We started on August 1st with a sell-off with a nice drop, and then we recovered, actually closed higher than the beginning of the month, but we're still in this zone here that we're trying to break through. Okay, so that's as far as U.S. indices. Now let's take a look at China. China tried to recover here, hit exactly 200 moving average, and moved lower. Japanese index is trying to break. Take a look, what a recovery. If you remember, we spoke about it. There was a drop here of about 12.7%, I believe. And since then, we made a full recovery on Japanese index. Isn't that amazing? What a volatility here. Okay. European indices, they also were strong. DAX is playing with all-time highs here. Let's see what this week brings. French index, nice recovery after the sell-off. We're approaching that 7740 resistance and the 200 moving average as well. UK also had a nice recovery in August, and we are actually higher than the beginning of the month, also in the positive zone. And I guess they're trying to bring it to all-time highs as well. Russell, the small caps US index, is also recovered in August, and is trying to see what's next over here. All right, so that's as far as indices. Again, we did finish August in a positive territory. It was a sell-off the first week of August, and then slowly we recovered and moved higher, breaking above that selling point. All right, moving to stocks. As I said, we'll start with NVIDIA. As you could see here, NVIDIA had reported on Wednesday. So Thursday, it gapped and it closed lower. Friday, it was a flat day for NVIDIA. I guess things are cooling down. But just to keep in mind that on that sell-off that we started in August, on the 5th of August, NVIDIA's were as low as 90.61, below $100. And now we are kind of holding this 116 area here. So let's see what this week brings. Again, the investors and the traders will digest all the news over the weekend, and I guess they'll make a decision about the stock. Now, Intel, it's not updating. Here we go. All right. Intel had a nice move on that speculation that things are changing. It has a way to go. The stock's been killed pretty much when the whole market was moving higher and all the tech stocks were, excuse me, moving higher. Intel's been really pressed with bad earnings and other things. So here we are trying to break out of it. Had a nice gap and continuation on Friday, as we said. Let's see if we hear anything. As the article said, the Intel didn't comment on anything. I guess we'll find out more details this week. And just to remind us, we spoke, I think, a couple of weeks ago that Intel reached its book value pretty much at the price. I think when we spoke about it was about 1957. That price reflected the real value of the company. That means if they were to close the shop and sell all the assets, that's what the company would, that's what actually all the assets would be worth. So since then, we did try to move higher. We came back, made a higher low, and now we made a higher high. So this could be a turnaround Again, at least technically, it looks like it. Fundamentally, we'll find out what's the story with Intel. Definitely solid company. Had some hard time lately by investing a lot and not seeing profits yet, but they said the profits are in the store coming 2025, 26, 27. I guess we're not gonna make our predictions here. We'll just see what happens. Okay, so that's NVIDIA and Intel. Let's take a quick look on the charts. As we said, most of the stocks went up. The big guys went up. Apple, not so much. Here we go. Meta, not so much. Intel, as we said, yes. Netflix moved higher, closed at 700. Microsoft, a little bit higher. You see, the index went up and it looks good. S&P, both S&P, Nasdaq, and Dow. But some individual stocks they're having a hard time, especially Microsoft. If you remember, the moment they announced they're kind of leaving the arena of AI, the stock's been showing some weakness here. Google as well. It's not running up with that judgment from U.S. courts on monopoly. GM continuing moving higher, facing our current levels of possible resistance here. Tesla moving up on Friday. We are between 200 and 220, between the 250 moving average here. Amazon, nice move on Friday. We're approaching the level of 179, where we could face some resistance. We bounce off 200 moving average here, a nice move, erasing the whole week of losses pretty much. Now, oil stocks, we're going to take a look at oil at the moment. Exxon, it's funny, they kind of split. Exxon is looking strong and Chevron is not. That's very interesting. And let's take a quick look at Teva Pharmaceutical. You remember we said a while ago that analysts set up a 19 price target. We spoke about it when we were around 11, then breaking 14, then playing with 17. We are really close to that target. And the question is, will it stop there or will it continue? That's Teva Pharmaceutical slowly stepping up. Of course, it can turn around. And if it does, you might enter this area of accumulation here between 1670 and 1750. There was a lot of accumulation before getting out of that channel. Now, banks. JP Morgan is a beast. It's just stepping up. And the rest of the banking stocks also strong, but not as much. Goldman is retesting the resistance. Citigroup trying to break out of this previous level, closing the gap as well. And very interesting, if you remember a while ago, we spoke about Bank of America and that Warren Buffett sold some stock. Now, there's over the weekend report that the last 3 days of the week, he sold more of Bank of America. So the stock is slowly stepping up. Let's see how it will react on Monday. Not Monday, again, Monday the stock market is closed, but let's see what Tuesday brings, right? So that's Bank of America. Okay, moving to commodities. If you remember when we saw the 10-year yields, we said that it's slowly stepping up, possibly creating pressure for gold. And here we go. Friday, gold sold a little bit, but we're still holding. You know, when you take this candle here, the high of it, 2509.65. You know, let's mark it exactly. Here we go. So this was the move on the 16th of August, and since then we've been up and down around the same level. We had few closing above, and this is the closing below again. So the question is, are we establishing a strong resistance before the reversal, or is this just taking a break and preparing for continuation to the upside? We're going to find out the coming week, right? So scenario, if we start really having price action here with candles opening and closing below this 2509 area, we might see actually sliding below. And if the opposite happens, if we lift above again and start rebuilding the support like we did here, we might be continuing higher. So, and if we do break below, I guess this level here around the 50-day moving average and a little bit below around 2431, as we marked before, could be our next support. So that's on gold. Copper had a nice attempt to move higher, but then it stalled again, and we are playing around the 50 and the 200 moving average, and 50 is trying to break below. And if it does, it would possibly give a signal to some traders as a selling signal, something they called dead cross when the 50-day moving average is breaking below the 200. We'll be watching that. Oil tried to break up this past week. We closed around 77, and then we're sliding lower again. So you could see we keep on making lower highs and actually lower lows as well. So Friday was a big sell-off, raising the previous 2 days of actions. We closed at 73.63. Again, a lot of aspects there. China is still not doing that great. It tried. It's not. Also geopolitical situations, especially Middle East. It's unclear what's happening there. Oil went up here, I think, on the expectation that Iran will attack. Then it didn't. It cooled down, then went up again and down again. So let's see what oil brings this coming week. Natural gas is channeling here as of now between 2 and 2.25. We did have this dead cross happening when the 50 moved below. As you could see here, now we're fighting with the 50-day moving average. Downside pressure prevails, but hard to say until we break 2 to the downside or break 226 to the upside. That's a natural gas. Now, good news for the grains. You remember we spoke about it, and we said we have possible opportunity to the upside. We had wheat breaking above 50-day moving average, nice 4 days of the week, trade up. Corn, similar situation, above 50-day moving average, possibly trying to reach this resistance area. And soybeans as well, they were the weakest. And take a look, we came to this key level around 1007, and we might try to break above it, or we might find a strong resistance and having a hard time moving higher, possibly retesting the lows as well. But it looks like the move triggered a good week for the grains. Let's see how the next week plays out. All right, moving to Forex, as we said again with 10-year yields, it was in favor to $1, and we did have a nice move in the dollar. The last 3 sessions, 3 consecutive candles, pretty much the same size. Very interesting. So nice recovery for US dollar, and of course, the opposite direction for the major currencies. Euro, pound, 3 consecutive candles. Nice recovery against the yen as well. Canadian dollar, not so much. So again, if you take majors, I just looked through them. Euro, pound, Swiss franc as well, Japanese yen, they sold against the dollar. But Canadian and New Zealand dollar is the other one, they kept strong. So this is USD CAD, as you could see, Friday, pretty much flat day. And also New Zealand dollar, it was strong, and also only on Friday sold a little bit. So we can say that Canadian and New Zealand dollar look strong for some reason, and we'll be watching them in the upcoming week. Australian dollar, not so much. It was a sell-off. And if you remember, we spoke about this current level on Aussie USD, and it did work out. The resistance is still in place here. So we'll continue watching them. Now, as I said, Canadian dollar, take a look, it's strong across the board. Here we go. Aussie CAD sold, Euro CAD sold heavily, GBP CAD sold, NZD CAD was holding, and just on Friday sold a little bit. So those two currencies, besides the US dollar, also strong, the Canadian and New Zealand dollar. And let's take a quick look at yen against other currencies. The Swiss franc is strong, Aussie strong, CAD, Euro, and GBP. So this week was not such a strong week for the yen, and I think that was the main reason why Japanese index had power to move higher as well. Okay, so that's as far as the currencies. And let's take a quick look at Bitcoin. You remember there was a move on Powell's speech. Since then, we've been really selling. There was a flat for a few days, and then the sell-off came. And as of now, we're trading above 58 after hitting 65. So I guess we'll be seeing what's Bitcoin is bringing us in the upcoming week. Just technically speaking, if we continue lower, we might be finding some support around these levels, around 56.5, 57. And of course, to the upside, we have a 65 level, this previous attempt to move here. All right, I guess that's it pretty much. Again, please don't forget about the social media channels, subscribe. And if you are watching this on YouTube, please feel free to subscribe, share with others. Also, write your comments, questions. It would be great to hear from you. And let's just summarize what we spoke about today. In the big picture, after closing a month in a positive territory, we'll see how we start the month of September. This is the month of the Fed's first possible interest rate cut. As of now, it's about 70% probability that it's 25 basis points or 0.25%, and that's September 18. Also, Monday, it's a Labor Day. US stock markets and Canadian markets are closed. Some futures will be trading short sessions. Friday, NFP numbers, the most important event or the most important announcement for the week. And again, we'll be watching how market reacts to it. NVIDIA is in focus still after the sell-off on the good news, and Intel on the upside. It looks good for potential move. And I want to wish everyone a great weekend, whatever's left, and have an amazing, successful, and productive week. All the best. We should be back next Sunday. Take care.